Can I just say, I'm loving all of this.
I know, me too. I was so excited by this. It's so cool.
When I left the screening, I was like, please, if there's merch, I need merch. Like, send, like, you need my address? I can give you my address. But,
yeah, we had like all this is like such cool trap merch, which I want. But we made all this Lady Raven merch for the movie that was like all this fake merch for like the kids to be wearing, and we made up like what was the last album, you know, kind of that T-shirt and the new album, and it was really fun to do all that merch.
I guess as well that's like so interesting because obviously you're sort of walking into a film where your character has like basically pre-existing lore.
Yeah.
Like what was that like for you? I guess like how did you sort of go into that, and what was your sort of process behind it?
I mean, it was fun. We got to, you know, create backstory for the art, which is always nice. And, you know, there's one song called Save Me that is in the movie, which we kind of like imagined as this is a song from her old album that was maybe a single that kind of the kids know the dance to already, and the album that she's touring is this new album. And then, you know, there's fun backstory elements, like the encore song when she brings out the singer, the thinker. There's kind of this introduction of him as, you know, this big singer that kind of gave her a chance and maybe helped her break, you know, into the music space, and, you know, did this collaborative song with her. And so it's cool to kind of flesh out the world in that way because it makes it feel more grounded and realistic. And also, you know, you feel all those textures in it.
And I guess obviously for you, obviously already being a singer, like, you know, that's like such an interesting kind of role to go into. It's almost like it's almost meta in that sense.
Yeah,
like you're
totally.
playing yourself or playing somebody else.
Totally,
but,
yeah.
And I guess I suppose for you, like, how did you approach Lady Raven differently to your own sort of craft and work?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of differences, I would say, because, you know, I'm imagining her as this, she's done these stadium tours, this is normal for her, and she's walking out, and she's got this whole crew, and she's kind of like this CEO, and she's, you know, all of these things that I'm not. And so, you know, me, when I'm walking on stage, I'm like shaking, I have stage fright, I'm nervous, and so I'm trying to imagine what would it be like to not feel that way, and to be so confident and have done this a million times. And so trying to channel that energy, and like, how would Taylor Swift walk out on stage? She does this all the time. She's got all her loving, adoring fans and all this kind of stuff. So trying to imagine those things, but it's fun to feel that because once you kind of fake it, you feel like, oh, actually, it's not as scary to walk out on stage. If I imagine myself as confident, I actually start to feel confident. And so it was really fun to get into that. And then even, you know, working with the featured artists that came and did songs, and they're, you know, real artists, and kind of getting into their own characters of it. So we had a lot of fun with that.
And I guess, I suppose, what was it like for you, obviously, having done like the original content for this film? What was that process like, being in the studio, and, you know, like, how did you approach that?
Well, the studio is like my happy place, so that's where I feel comfortable. That's my zone. I'm, you know, a songwriter at heart. I feel like that's my true passion, you know, more than performance and all of the other kind of stuff. So that was like, for me, you know, I felt very confident in the studio and just loved the process of writing for film and writing to the script. And there's just so much to kind of take from and be inspired by that's outside my own life. And you can just take yourself out of it and not think about, you know, defining you or having to be about your own relationships or things like that. And so it was fun. And I got to kind of dive into, you know, this movie is very dark, and it's creepy and suspenseful. So kind of pulling those elements into the production and riding with that as the movie goes along was a huge source of inspiration for me.
And I guess, obviously, you know, working with your additional castmates, how was that? Because obviously, you know, you spend quite a lot of time on the stage, and then suddenly you're not on the stage anymore.
I know,
and I guess, how were those interactions? Like, how were those filming those more tense moments? What were they like?
It almost felt like, for me, it was like filming two different movies. Because one was with a whole group of people, like these 12 dancers, the choreographer, the, you know, the set designer, the costumer. We were all on stage rehearsing. We did rehearsals. I was with this whole group of people, and then we wrapped the concert, and then we go into this whole other world where it's completely different. And it was like one day, and then the next day I'm like, everything's different, you know. And then kind of learning the language of that, and the, you know, in the performance, it's all very big, and there's dancers, and we're far away, and it's really just going for it. And then it becomes these intimate, very tense moments. And so, but it was kind of beautiful to feel both of those things and have the character kind of break down in a way. You see her from very far away, and then you get closer and closer and closer until you have these very intimate moments. And so I got to feel the character in that movement as well, which was nice.
No, that's really nice. And I think it's just like that, having that very real life, like, separation, distinction between, you know, like, who Lady Raven is on the stage versus, you know, who she is like, you know, this heroine to her fans, and I think that's such a real like reflection of like, you know,
totally
the current like situation with celebs, and like, you know, especially with, you know, your Taylor Swifts and your Beyoncés, like they're bigger than life to like their fans, and she is that to her fans.
And we were talking about that a lot, you know, kind of shooting the movie, just that this character, her journey is sort of questioning whether she's the same person on stage as she is off stage, and you see her persona on stage, and she is the type of person that like it's all authentic to her, but she gets tested, you know, are these morals the ones she's going to stick to, the ones that she talks about, forgiveness and all the stuff, and every person is important, all of these things, they get tested, and so it's kind of like is she that person for real?
And what was your favorite Lady Raven song to work on?
Oh man, there is a few. I mean, there's two kind of back-to-back songs. One is called Empathize and one is called Love You, and they're later in the concert. And those I wrote while we were shooting the movie, and so there was this like really fun energy around it because we were already kind of deep in the process, and so I knew like the choreographer very well, and I knew the dancers very well, and so I was like imagining all of it as I was writing, so it kind of added this flavor to it, and we just had so much fun with that. It was like, and we were comfortable in the process because it was a little later in the concert shooting, so we were just like having the time of our lives.
And I guess in regards, obviously, aside from like rehearsals and choreography, and, you know, like the amazing costumes that she wears and things like that, like, are there any real sort of stand-up moments for you, like being on set?
Like in terms of like a standout moment, like a good...
Yeah, a good thing,
I mean, there's so many. I feel like, I would say the last day that we shot the concert was a very special one for me. One, because we were wrapping this like enormous kind of thing that we had been working on. For me, I had been working on it for many, many months, just from the initial writing the music to like adding the elements, costumes, the set, the choreography, then shooting it, all this kind of stuff, rehearsal. So it felt like, you know, this celebration. And then also that was the same day we shot the song with Kid Cudi. And so it was like this encore of the concert. And then the audience members, some of them had been there for many days and had like seen a lot of the concert. So it was like we were putting on a show for them kind of in slow motion over many days. And then by the time they got there, they were just vibing. And then, you know, at the end of it, they were like asking for my real autographs, and and they were like loving Kid Cudi, and they were screaming, and it felt like this real genuine kind of connection and this thing that we had built and felt in the moment, like it felt really real.
Yeah, but I guess it kind of comes to that, doesn't it? So I suppose like you're sort of living in this for such a long time, and also like obviously the cast are also living in this, and then you kind of come out of it and you're like, actually, I really like that song, even though it was made for a film. Actually, it's a real song.
Yeah, it's a real. Yeah, it's all real. Yeah, it was kind of like coming back out into the real world and feeling like the actual impact of the music, which was nice.
Yeah. And I guess finally, I have to ask this question.
Yeah.
What was it like working with the director?
It was so much fun. I mean, it's like a dream come true to work with your family and be able to create something together with like the people that you love and the people that you've cared about. And I think my dad loves it. He loves, you know, working with his kids. And I think in some ways it's like this perfect collaboration because he's raised us. And so it's like, imagine if you could like build your perfect collaborator. He's raised us with his value system and his work ethic and his tastes in some ways. And so it is this really easy kind of smooth thing where we get each other, and like even I'll just know if I'll play him a bit of a song and I'll just see in his eyes, okay, he doesn't like it, or this or he does like it, or this or that, like he doesn't need to say much, and I'm like, you know what, let me go back and change this a few things. You know, so it's this instinctual thing, and I think that makes the process feel so smooth and wonderful and instinctual. It was nice.
And if you had to go back and work with your dad again in the next project, would you want to be the hero again or the villain?
Oh, I mean, that's up to him. I don't like to dictate. He's a master at storytelling and writing. As long as I get to make some music for it, I'm good.
Okay. Thank you so much.